exit is clear. You've got 34 minutes to do the business. Your brakes are cold, be careful. Yellow flag. All clear on pit exit. You're clear. Incident clear. Green flag, sector 2. Track limits, keep it within the lines. Yellow flag. Pit exits clear. Incident clear. Green flag. Sector 1 is green. Last. P2. Brake temperatures look good. flag, sector 2. Yellow flag. Clear of the incident, green flag. Just done at 150.06. That's 20 minutes to go, 20 minutes. Has just done a 70.48.6 seconds.
Oh, I'll leave the 150s, 150.
B2.
Well, 6 more laps of that.
The leader has just done 150.28. You've got half your fuel left. Your lap time was 149.73. That's 15 minutes. You've got 10 minutes of fuel remaining.
Go a bit faster than this lap. Oh, you are joking.
You've gone outside of track limits there. Yellow flag.
One, two, three, four, five. Block this now.
The leader's just done a 149.09.
Target is to be aware of those things happening so you're not surprised. The throttle turn-in is happening onto the brake at the same time, so the rear end again gets a bit loose and will, and in data is if we not really neutral for a long time back, get to take apart here. So even slower. Initial harsh braking, and now that we come to the inside here, now I need a lot of control where I place the car. Loose in this situation. We're somewhat making use of that to have a vulnerable rear and throwing the car somewhat into the corner. This is what you can see with the steering input here being quite aggressive from one side to the other. Actually, let's just roll it forward through the corner once, and then I'll pick it up with the commentary. Okay, a lot to take apart here, so even slower. Initial harsh braking, and now that we come to the inside here, now I need a lot of control where I place the car. So I need my front wheels to be available to respond to steering input, which means I cannot use a lot of brakes. So you see my brake input decreasing in this phase, so now the front end responds to my steering input, and also because I'm steering a lot, if I brake a lot now, the rear end most likely comes around way too much because of the pitch I'm inducing, so I have to neutralize the car and make it more stable by braking less. Then I can use the steering wheel to place the car, and now I have it really tight on the inside to get a nice entry into this 90-degree right corner there. So just when I'm off that curb, just when the car is somewhat going parallel to the white line here again, back onto the brake, and somewhat find this transition. When the rear end is in a vulnerable state, you really want to make use of that, understand that, feel that, and how you throw around the rear end is important into this corner here. Then I think for this corner, then once you get there, it's the usual trailing off the brakes while you increase the steering angle. You definitely want to be off the brake as you come for the inside curb.
10 minutes to go.
Have
That's 10 minutes left.
Camera angle here again. Because it's rather steep, especially the sausage on the inside is brutally high. Probably not even... Well, you need a much higher car to fit that underneath, right? It's gigantic. So yeah, you want to be off the brake here, certainly, to fit the curb underneath. And be sure the front has the ground clearance, and then middle of the corner already back on power to keep the rear rotated. Next thing you want to watch out, as all curbs here on Snetterton, also this exit curb is on the bumpy side of things. It doesn't really like to support you too much, so don't go too far here, because here at the end it gets really rough. Bumpy, traction control kicks in as the car jumps, and you're not building the speed for the next corner, which would be costing lap time. Let's see. Two corners, no, well, three actually to go. I agree, it's a very technical track, but therefore it's a good license track. Once you master that, you'll likely master all the tracks. Let's see for this little thingy there. Let's zoom in a bit into this section of the track. So we are now here. And yeah, you can see I'm just about lifting off. I'm keeping the throttle a couple percent on, because I don't want to go into the engine brake completely, because that changes the car behavior. It affects the differential, it affects the weight shifting forward, affects a bit the pitch. The front is just a tiny bit closer to the ground, and we're looking for 0.5 millimeters here that can make or break the corner. And if we get too much to the inside, it's pretty horrible. I want to show you why, because again, track surface here is pretty awful. So the somewhat of a banking starts now coming to the inside. You can also see turn-in. Initial turn-in is full throttle. Under full throttle, the car is really stable because the differential on the rear is locked, both tires spinning at the same speed. Car is very stable. Once you go off the throttle, the car will start rotating a bit more. And therefore my throttle decrease never goes to complete zero. I don't want the engine brake to kick in, at least not as harsh. So I'm controlling the speed with the throttle here, or the reduction of speed with the throttle, but I don't actually need the brake. And the other thing is, if we watch from the outside, we'll probably get a better view of this again, how the track is shaped. Right? And just the track shape had such a huge impact on how the car behaves. So it falls off a bit to the outside, then somewhere on the inside you go through somewhat of a ditch, then the curb is, well, it's kind of angled upwards towards the inside, has a hole in the middle, it's all sorts of bumpy, and all this is just really confusing because it's hard for your brain to distinguish what calls what in that corner. Is it the track surface? Is it my brake input? Is it my throttle? Is it my steering? And all those things just happen at the same time. And other than doing laps, there's really no way to learn it. The main thing that you have to notice is, okay, there are things happening that will affect the car, and that is the track surface, that is the curb, that are the bumps, that is the differential, that is the engine brake. So I'm kind of controlling all these things in a way that I have a predictable car going into that corner. Using that curb on the inside end a bit important because it lifts up the right side of the car and allows for more ground clearance. Let's actually look at the car from the front, and then you should be able to see this. Is this it? This could be it. Let's see how that goes if I play it. So now this lifts us up a bit and allows us just about the ground clearance to work with the track surface here. If we're not on that curb, we're probably bottoming out on the middle here, in the middle here, with a track surface. So using a bit of the curb there is actually important to not run the car into the ground with a middle. Even though you can see the outside here, there's very, very little space. But yeah, this is the curb in this case definitely helping lifting the inside up, allowing for a bit more room under the middle of the car, and this makes this corner at least a tiny bit more pleasing to drive, because next problem you're having is the exit. Well, yeah, I'm going very wide here, just about. This is really the most just about.
That's 5 minutes to go, 5 minutes.
I've been in a while, I think, with the cambered part of the tire already leaning into the grass there, just thanks to the 5-point contact model. I think I'm still recognized on the green stuff, so this was really as close as it gets here. And additionally, you can see this is also one of those bumpy curbs here, especially, right? So this is awful. The car needs to be straight. Not a lot of steering input here, because most likely this is going to either cause under or oversteer, or both, being horrible. So important to be almost done with the turning here, and I'm just shy of making it correct, really. And then we're heading for the last 2 corners. One last time, zooming into the section here.
That's 2 minutes left, 2 minutes.
And this one, similar to the corner before, we're turning in flat out, right? You can see this here in, sorry, where are we? Here. I'm actually zoomed in a tiny bit too much. Let's do this one more time. From here, this should be better. Yes. Place it like this. And then we can see the initial turn in. So the steering starts, well, this place is a bit better. Steering already starts here, almost throwing it a bit aggressively into the corner, because again, with full power applied, differential is locked, car is very stable, front lifted up, downforce balance very neutral. So throwing it into the corner there, and now as I release the throttle pedal, car slowing down, leaning it a bit forward, changing the aero balance a bit. Just that this corner is really tight. And you can see, I think we want to zoom in a bit more. We have an early apex here. Then we go a bit wide, and then we come again to the inside. The reason is that for the braking of the last corner, and it's similar to 2 corners before, after the long straight, we want to have straight braking here somewhat, almost straight, right? As straight as possible. So in an extreme case, you would say, let's go a really wide here, right? Very wide here, and then you put a straight line here for nice braking, nice entry into this one. Of course, this would be a stretch. You probably can't drive it this way. There's going to be marbles that, don't really give you the grip. So we're trying to find this in between of kind of carrying speed into this, going a bit wide, and kind of coming back to the inside to brake somewhat in a straight line. That's the notion that you wanna take into this corner here. And speed-wise, you don't really have to do a lot. You just have to go off the throttle, let the car do its thing, reduce the speed a bit, tiny bit of brake input, throttle inputs here throughout to, kind of control your car position. And your notion really is there's an early apex here, as I said, and there's a second apex here very late. So you're trying to delay the second apex, and this is what you do throughout most of the corner here. So carrying the speed, wait until you go a bit wide, and now you see, okay, do I have to increase the speed? Do I have to lower the speed? Ideally, you carry enough speed so that you only have to reduce up until the point here, middle of the corner, where you're the furthest away from the inside curve. And then you put the power down aggressively to get the rear to rotate for the car to come back to the inside. This is really technical, really tricky. Okay, so again, recap. Throw it in full throttle, car is stable. Go off the throttle, speed reduces. Past the first apex here. Rolling the car a bit wide into the corner. Once you notice, okay, now the car starts to come back to the inside, you floor the power. Really, floor it. It's important. Then the rear keeps coming around. You keep pulling the car back to the inside. Then you should be somewhat in a straight line for the braking for the last corner. You can see here it's never really fully straight, right? You can see how the rear steps
The track
out
temp is
immediately
32.
once I hit the
The air
brake.
temp is 20.
to see it fucking there. I wouldn't say. Too slow. 50.6 is too slow. I'm on soft shade. Like one lap's okay. I don't know, that's okay now. 50.1 in each. But one in it. One so far. today is Saturday. My 4 cents down, what is he? Bollocks. Too slow. talking to a food.